No need of a rebuild. Same can't be said for Chelsea, who obviously have been busy and appear to continue to stay busy in the coming weeks if all these reports are true. We're looking at the list of ins and outs here. Boy, 9 deep on the departure side. Gab, let's start with the case of Moises Caicedo, because it seems like there's a lot of interest from Chelsea here, but Brighton have a really high asking price. Do you think it gets done? He's been identified as their number 1 target.
Yeah, I mean, I think you only need to look at this team to know that, that's where they're short. In central midfield, you count the players, and, you've got Enzo Fernandez, you've got Conor Gallagher, and then you've got Cesare Cazadei and Carney Chukwuemeka, who, of course, are youngsters, right? So they need somebody in there. We've been here before with Caicedo back in January. He said he wanted to leave. Brighton wouldn't let him. I think everybody's for sale at Brighton at the right price. I think this is going to, this could well run for a while. I think Brighton's attitude is the more you wait to give us our asking price, then, the more our asking price is going to be high because we're going to have less time to go and find replacements. So I think Chelsea are going to push it. I think they still want to sell some more players, bring more money in. By my count, it's about 200 million. That they have in. I think they still, Azpilicueta is getting resolved soon. They still want to find a home for Pulisic, of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Lukaku. Ziyech, if they can, cut the wage bill further, and that gives you a little more flexibility with your spend as well.
Go on then, find a home for Pulisic. Come on. You want to.
That's later tonight on Football Americas. 80 to 100 million that Brighton want for.
Well, that's the market we're in. That is the market we're in these days.
What kind of impact do you think he makes at Chelsea?
He makes a big impact wherever he goes. I think he's a terrific player. Thought him and McAllister were brilliant in there with Pascal Gross. And I think Gab mentioned before that on the odd occasion he was pitched in at right back, which isn't natural for him, but he did a little job for De Zerbi at the end of the season. But in terms of the profile, again, young player, super dynamic around the field, really comfortable on the ball, really prepared to take it in tight areas, which I think is imperative now for the midfielder, particularly in the modern game for clubs that want to play up from the back. And he's got fantastic experience in doing that at Brighton. There's going to be a lot more pressure if he does go to Chelsea, obviously, but Brighton passed it out from the back as well as anybody. Duncan, Webster, or whoever it was, they passed it into the middle of the park whether you had a man up your backside or not. And you had to deal with it. And Caicedo and McAllister were brilliant at that. I personally think he's a better player than Enzo Fernandez. Maybe they'll just do slightly different roles. But I think, he's one of, again, it's either Chelsea or somebody else. I mean, he was going to go to Arsenal last January. Brighton held firm. Arsenal didn't want to pay the bucks that Brighton wanted. But ultimately, Brighton are going to, and it's such a shame, but they're going to lose all these players because they were such a good side. And their squad is unravelling, but the vultures are hovering, unfortunately for them.
Frank, what do you think of Caicedo? How's the fit at Chelsea?
Yes, I want to believe so. He showed his talent. He knows the Premier League. He already showed that he's capable of dealing with it, which is never easy and done for a foreign player. But he did. Now, and I want to be really positive because I want him to be successful alongside Fernandez. I think he's still a young player. It's a difference between Brighton and Chelsea. One is a good club, one is a big club. And that's the difference. The pressure will be huge for him and Kunku, for maybe Nicolas Jackson if he plays. The pressure that you have when you play for a big club like Chelsea is completely different from another that club to another club. That's the big deal that they will have to face, and that we don't have the answer. How are they going to settle down? I don't have the answer. There is only one way next season for Chelsea is to be successful. 2 years in a row with bad results, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like a riot. Fans going to be crazy. They will ask for the board to get out. I mean, that's going to be a big mess. And the players in the dressing room, they know that they have only one solution next season is to be successful. Otherwise, they're gonna face something bad. So the pressure is huge. And when you sign, and even if you are talented, you don't know how you're going to react in front of that. And that's that's an answer we're going to have very, very soon if he signs. But, of course, talented, and I completely agree with Craig. He showed last season with McAllister that he's capable of playing for any big club. Now I don't have the answer for the pressure.
If Chelsea fans weren't blindfolded at the time, they got a good view of the skill levels of this lad at Stamford Bridge last year. Brighton, I can't remember the scoreline, but Brighton absolutely played Chelsea off the park, like many teams did, I mean, because Chelsea were struggling. They lost Evan Ferguson, their talented young striker, early in the game. They had to adjust, but McAllister and Caicedo ran the show at the Bridge. Absolutely ran the show as Brighton gave Chelsea a lesson on the field in terms of how to play football. I think Chelsea need, as Gab said, they might need to sell some more before they bring in. But the likes of Conor Gallagher in there is not going to be good enough. Conor Gallagher's a good player. He had a great spell at Crystal Palace. And that's kind of where I see him eventually, that kind of club. I think ultimately for him, he's going to be a squad player at Chelsea. So I think they are going to have to bring players in and positions like that if they're going to try and push for the top four. And ultimately, that's what they're going to have to do. They're not going to challenge this year. If anybody thinks, I think they're going to challenge City and possibly Arsenal or whoever it is, Liverpool. I don't think that's realistic, particularly with all the comings and goings. But certainly, when you're spending the amount of money they have, when you've got the ins and outs that they have, you've got to be pushing to get back in that top four, right, and get that rebuild going. And I think that's a fair assumption of where Chelsea need to be at the start of the season. I think if we sit here and say, well, they should be challenging, that's just too big a jump, in my opinion, from where they ended up last year.
Yeah, we just got to look at your potential 11 for Chelsea. Obviously, they need to improve. On paper, how much better would that 11 be than what you had at the end of last season?
I think what you had a lot of at the end of last season was a lot of, I think, good players who were playing badly in a club that was drifting and they couldn't wait for the season to end. I think a lot has to do with the manager and how they're motivated. If you're just talking on paper, individual for individual, it's the same guys as last season, other than Nicholas Jackson. So that's why they have to go and bring in signings, give Pochettino time to work for them. I put that version out there because, like as we said, there are no midfielders. So if you play a 3-4-1-2 or whatever, then you only use two central midfielders. But they obviously need to strengthen there. And obviously Thiago Silva is not going to play every game. So I think we might see a back four quite a bit from Chelsea next season. But again, to do that, you need to have another midfielder in there.
Yeah, what about goals? That's obviously a huge problem for Chelsea coming off last season. They've been linked with Dusan Vlahovic. He's a guy who started great at Juventus and then kind of tailed off. Is he the guy for Chelsea at that spot?
So I think what you like about Vlahovic is ultimately the guy's extremely hardworking, the guy's extremely athletic, and the guy plays with a chip on his shoulder. He had a horrendous season last year, as did Juve as a whole. But his body of work includes what happened before. He's the right age profile for the type of players that Chelsea want. He is on a pretty hefty salary at Juve. And one of the things that Burley and Gab had talked about was trying to bring the salary down. He's got agents who are also pretty tough guys to deal with. That's the part that makes me a little bit uneasy. I don't know if it's a bit of a smokescreen. Maybe that's just why Chelsea want him at a certain price, but maybe not Juve's asking price. But to me, I think they have to bring in another forward because you're talking about Nico Jackson, who's still very raw. You're talking about Broja coming off a knee injury, and you're coming off David Datro Fofana, who I'm assuming is going off on loan. Oh, sorry, there's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang too, and Lukaku, but I'd be shocked if these guys were there come opening day.
Vlahovic?
Well, they might be there, but they won't be doing a lot.
Be on the books at least.
Vlahovic, I like him as a player, don't get me wrong. Big, physical, strong, good pace, good goal scorer. Was a struggle last year, but...
that doesn't worry you?
Well, it depends on the fee. I don't think...
70 million, what they're saying.
I've got a feeling this
70 million is what Juve wants.
I got a feeling this one won't happen.
Really?
Yeah, I get a feeling this one. But with Chelsea, I suppose you never know. But
I mean, if it doesn't happen more, does that leave him at that position?
Well, I'm looking at the middle of the park at the moment, and I'm a bit more concerned about that. To be honest with you, now that they've brought in Nico Jackson and Kunku, who's not a natural striker but got a fair chunk of goals at Leipzig. Maybe Raheem Sterling will come back to a bit of form because he struggled last year. So, but you look at that middle of the park, that's where you got to go first, I think.
Frank, what do you think? Chelsea spend their money in the middle of the park or up top?
No, it's too much. It's too much for Vlahovic. Yeah, putting money in the middle of the park is interesting. But I know if they need a striker, you have to look what you want and what you can afford, or who you can afford. And there is a neighbor, and I've been talking about him for 6 months. He's called Mitrovic. He plays for Fulham. Maybe it would be possible to have him. When you have young lads, like Nkunku, you have Modric, and you have Chilwell and James playing and giving crosses, you need somebody who put the ball in the net. You don't need talent who can take players on, but because they are too technical, maybe too talented, they don't finish it. We want a finisher. We want somebody who stops thinking, and the only thought is to put the ball in the net. And Mitrovic is the kind of guy. I want to believe that I would be a good target for Chelsea because price-wise, it won't cost a lot in terms of transfer and in terms of fee. And he knows the Premier League. He doesn't need to settle down. And he's been a fear to many, many centre-backs. And he will be a leader for that dressing room. We desperately need some.
Gab, I see that smile. Mitrovic to Chelsea, what do you think?
You know what? I totally get where Frank's coming from. And I think, if you're talking like I need a specialist who does this job, kind of last piece of the puzzle situation, I could see the logic there. Personally, I'm a big Armando Broja fan. I wouldn't spend a ton of money on Vlahovic because I still believe that, if Broja can come back and be the player that he looked like he could be, then maybe your answer's right there. But I think where Chelsea are now, or certainly where they say they are, it's the same stuff they say. It's younger players with an upside, players who aren't on considerable wages, and then that's the way forward. They've been very clear about that. I think it would be a bit of a departure if they went for Mitrovic. Although short term, yeah, maybe he would make them better.
To that point that Gab made there, I was talking about this, when was I on? Friday, I think it was, regarding Man United and their seemingly reluctance to go at the moment and do business in the striking department, where they are desperate, by the way, desperate, right? I mean, Ten Hag must be butting his head on the wall over this. And one player, I think it fits the bill, and I'm only talking from my opinion. I'm a huge fan. And he's big, and he's strong, and he's quick, and he's talented, and he's raw. But he is raw, sorry. It's Evan Ferguson at Brighton and Hove Albion. And I don't want to upset Brighton fans by pilfering all the players, but these are terrific players. And I've saw a lot of Ferguson last year, including that game I mentioned earlier at Stamford Bridge, when he was excellent before he had to go off. He got injured going for a header, and he fell up badly, I think, in his ankle. He, since he's came into that Brighton side, has shown so much maturity. He's learning all the time. He's got great game understanding for one so young as a front guy. And I don't think he's 20 yet. And I will be shocked in the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, if somebody doesn't come along, if Evan Ferguson remains fit and gives Brighton a problem about this young Irish lad. That's how good I think he is.
Turns 19 in October.
Turns 19 in October. He's a young lad, hasn't got a bundle of games under his belt, but if you watched anything of Brighton last year, when this lad was playing, he made you sit up and take notice. He's a cracking player.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.